All right, good evening, everyone. We are going to start with our Estacada City Council workshop. And we have a pretty strict timeline that we're going to try to adhere to. And Melanie, did you want to go over that?
Sure. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you everybody for coming, and that we're holding this workshop at the request of the council to just to talk with the committees and the committee chairs, I should say, and talk about making sure that what is directed in the code is what the council really would like the committees to be doing. I did do a pretty tight timeline for us. And I also included some possible next steps because this is just a workshop. So we're going to discuss and then figure out what to do coming out of here. So some of the next steps would be council may direct staff to prepare an ordinance for code changes, because we have a couple of pretty simple code changes that could go into effect. But we'd bring those back to a regular council meeting for you to review and consider. Council may also provide direction on priorities that they'd like to see in the upcoming committee work plans, because I know several committees are working on their work plans and their budgets for the coming year. And then in case there's any major change that's being considered, the council could direct staff to set up a future workshop with any particular committee. And they also could request that a topic for council discussion just be added to a future agenda. So those are kind of, or any other direction that you want to provide to staff or to the committees. So just quickly, we'll start with I've kind of grouped these. And so the first one is a non-existent committee right now, the Economic Development Committee. And I've provided a rough draft of a code, a possibility for a code. It's just an example. And so I've included it in here to see if council has any immediate feedback on that. I've scheduled a workshop with John Lagarza for your next meeting, which will be March 11th. And he'll come at 6 o'clock and work through, what the council would like to see actually in the code for the duties of that committee. And he has said that he will be available to answer any questions that you might have the week before. So starting next Monday on March 4th, if you ever want to call John and talk through some ideas for this new committee, he is available. So I guess my first question is, was there any comments on this Economic Development Commission that you wanted to share now, or just wait for John?
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just wondering, something like this, I think it's great that we're looking here. I know it's something we discussed and agreed upon. Is this something that we could look at as a commission or a project? Meaning, maybe it's not an ongoing perpetual thing, but we set a sunset date for it. And we, when they first meet, come up with specific goals. And then at the end of that sunset date, evaluate if they've achieved the goals. Does it need to continue? Because I think part of the issue, what's bringing the conversation tonight is all of these committees and commissions take staff time. And we've got a limited amount of that to go around to everybody. And if we could have this new one be something that would be, have a time frame, that would help.
Okay, good suggestion. I took a note of that, and we'll follow up on that.
Good.
Other suggestions?
Any other suggestions?
I was looking forward to it.
Yeah. I just had one tiny one, and that's under responsibilities and objectives on item number 3, enhance communication, understanding of economic development strategies, and build relationships between City of Estacada, public sector, community, business community, and then I wanted to add chamber as well, because we're looking at
Okay, great. Thank you.
yeah. It, just in case I forget that before we talk to John.
Okay. Good. Okay, anything else on that?
Does this still meet our end of June timeline for standing it up?
Yes, we are on track for that.
Great. Okay,
Okay.
so I guess we'll just be moving right along. So next we will discuss Arts Commission. All right, are they next on our?
I think we'll have all 3 of those folks come up to the table here at once, and we'll have
We have Arts, who do we have?
Parks
Parks
and
and
Rec.
Rec and Public Safety.
traffic and public safety. These did not have any requested changes from the committees or the council. We didn't have any proposed changes for them, but if they or their council liaisons wanted to bring up anything or ask a question as they're developing their work plan, we wanted to give them an opportunity to talk with you.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Am I supposed to say something or are we waiting for questions?
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Charity, sorry.
Yeah, if there's anything, I don't know if you looked over, but if there was anything that you wanted to add, as far as, for Arts Commission, I'm assuming that,
Yes.
that you wanted the council to look at or to add to.
I don't think so. I think we're functioning pretty well as a commission. We've
Mhm.
received several grants in the last year that have really helped us keep running. I think some things have come up between commissions, but as far as the actual logistics of what's on paper about the Arts Commission, I think we're functioning really effectively as a commission and bringing a lot to the community. We've reached hundreds of people with our events last year, and I think we have almost $5,000 in grants that we've received over the past year, as well as fundraising that's really set us up to continue with our workshops and events for the community.
Great. Mike.
Can you highlight some of the successes from the commission over the last year?
Yeah, we held 9 Estacada Creates workshops last year, everything from painting to writing to collage. We also had our first annual Arts at the Creek last year, which drew several hundred people, had lots of community organizations that came, as well as 4 musical acts. And we plan to make that, it's a summer celebration-esque annual tradition. So that'll happen on the last Saturday of July. Forever, we hope. We have that set already, and some musical acts and community organizations already on board for next year. We also continue to support the Art Back murals with our recommendations and as much support as we can in the community as well.
Thank you.
Heidi.
So the last goal that we have in the code says to provide liaison and representation of the Estacada area to county, regional, and state arts agencies. Have you made any headway with that?
Yeah, we co-hosted an event with the Regional Arts and Culture Council in the fall, which was an outreach program that they were discussing with the communities about what may or may happen with the future of their own organization. And we were able to share sort of some challenges and successes that we've had with artists in the community. Unfortunately, Clackamas County has not put in their 2 cents so we can get much out of it. So we've been looking towards the Clackamas County Cultural Trust, which is where we got our last grant, and working with involving them and working on using those organizations to broadcast our events more region wide so that we can get more attendance and more participation.
Any other questions for?
What do you want? I got a 2-part question. One, what are you looking forward to the most this year? As far as what do you guys have on the docket that's like your big exciting thing?
Arts at the Creek is definitely our big exciting thing. It got organized a little late last year, so we missed out on really having a lot of community organizations. So we're hoping to have more volunteers and more community organizations showing up to provide activities. We're also going to be putting out a summer project to be named that we will be handing out to schools, et cetera. That's going to be, we're really working on trying to pull together the events that all the commissions are doing, as well as our own, and promote arts in Estacada. So it'll be sort of like a family friendly bingo board that will have like go on a mural walk, go to the 4th of July parade, attend a concert in the park. And we've reached out to the other commissions to find out what activities they are doing that we can promote within our own activity. And then families will be bringing that back at the end of the summer. We'll do like a sweepstakes drawings for some art supply basket kind of thing. So we're really excited about that. We've had some meetings with the Parks and Rec Commission, and as well as communication with the Downtown Commission to really sort of work on co-hosting events, so that we're not reinventing the wheel and we're really helping support each other and get to the biggest slice of our community that we can with our events.
Great. Anything else for Arts Commission? Good. Okay. All right. Give it to Vincent. Parks and Rec.
Yeah, how's it going? So for Parks and Rec, upcoming stuff we will have our Sprint into Spring, which is our 5K around Campanella coming up. We do our Arts in the Park event that we've done for the past few years at Wade Creek. We invite local kids, like high school and down, to bring their art and set up tents and sell their art to people in the community. I know few people, we actually have pretty decent turnout for that event. The concerts in the park are going to be we have all 5 set ready to go for this starting on June 30th. They'll be moved from, I believe it was on Wednesday. Now it'll be on Sundays from 2 to 4. So hopefully we'll get a bigger turnout. We're looking for more vendors to come out and support those events as well. Our Trick or Trot is always a good event. We always have a few hundred kids come out to that event. We think we're going to discuss doing a new winter event this year. I'm not sure exactly. One of our commissioners, he has an idea for it. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to be yet, but I think it's to be something akin to like how Sandy does the lights in their parks and stuff like that, something like that. My personal event I would like to ask the city about, it would be if we could do some sort of like ivy cleanup, like maybe pick a different location around the city. Like I know right now in Ranger Woods, like the trees are getting really taken over by the English ivy, which is an invasive species you don't want on the trees. You know, if there's some budget or funding we can do to maybe do a cleanup day for that, that would be great. That was going to be one of my main suggestions for this year. And yeah, other than that, it's just mainly trying to grow turnout, get more people out to the parks, more events going. And I don't think this is more of a city question, but will there be any actual decisions that need to be made on park facilities this year? Like, I know we did like the plans for the parks in the last couple of years, but I don't know if there's anything on the docket this year.
Not that I'm aware of.
I think the biggest thing will be the collaboration with the Planning Commission and City Council on Parks Master Plan and Parks,
SDCs.
code updates. But as far as, and if we do like a mini update to the Parks Master Plan.
Yeah.
That would be a good, something you'd be making recommendations on, but not any particular site unless something, we don't know exactly what's happening in that north part of town with development coming up, but we'll see. So it's possible. I don't have anything yet.
Perfect. Yeah, I didn't know there's any official things that needed to get decisions made on it as right now. I am glad we're looking at, like I said, I'm glad we're looking at the SDC issue and the land use issue to make sure that we are getting enough money to properly invest in our parks and the future of the parks for this city, because we are, for as big of a city as we are slightly lacking like park space. Most of the parks are small and within communities. I think the city would likely do well if we had like a nice big open field, whereas more of like a sports facility with like
Yes.
different types of courts and different activities for everyone. Maybe not obviously there's not very much land within the city, but if we could find some land to use those SDCs to purchase to actually build those facilities and have like a nice big park area for everyone to visit, I think that would be another good thing, but it's all under the land use and SDC issue. So yeah.
Cool. Any questions for?
That just remind me, for both of you, have you guys already met to set goals for this year
Have we already met set goals?
as committee? Like, have you guys met as a committee to set?
That'll be
goals?
that'll be on Wednesday. We'll be
Okay.
doing our goal planning and our budget planning this Wednesday.
I would just echo for everybody and this goes to all the committees, that we try to keep in mind to set measurable goals this year. Please.
Okay,
Can I say one?
Melanie, yeah.
So just on the topic of sports fields, I know they're already in use, so it doesn't seem like they'd be something that's still to be developed, but that north part of the school district beyond the high school on River Mill has been slightly developed enough to be soccer fields and youth football fields. I think there's one baseball field out there, and they know they do have plans for more. They might have one more baseball or softball field going out there, but then also that needs to have a parking lot. And there's a concession stand that the city is in partnership with the school was going to contribute to that concession stand restroom building. And we also contribute some funding to help pay for all the fields to be mowed. So the school district isn't doing that just on their own. They do a good portion of it, but we do contribute. And so it's not, I don't think the sports complex that folks are talking about, but it is, at least has provided some additional space for the youth teams in our community. But I need to keep talking with the school district, maybe connecting them while we're doing Hillway or something. We could add on, they wouldn't have to, the construction workers wouldn't have to do another mobilization fee or something because they'd already be out here. Some way that we could help them to financially be able to get that done. So that would really help.
Yeah. Be awesome.
And it's required. I guess both things.
Cool.
Yeah, I think, it would, because you're talking about the portion of the park that's like right where the track, like above the track, that type of area.
Yes.
As long as it's, my only thing I would bring up is as long as it's available to the public, like after school hours and
Yes.
stuff like that. Cause building stuff within the school and then not being able to access it during, or people not knowing they can, as long as people know they can access it and have the
Mhm.
ability to, then yeah, I think that's great. That
Mhm.
it'd be a good option for sure.
Good. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
Michael.
I spoke with a few people from the EYBSA this weekend at the tournament down in Seaside, and they've just got record high participation rates in baseball and softball, just struggling to find coaches and then places for the kids to practice. So I even getting the different private organizations involved, not just the school district, but they've outsourced, like the girls' basketball is not done through the school, it's done through a private league, and getting involved with some of those leagues as well, making them part of the conversation. I invited them to come and speak to us about their struggles that they're dealing with space and things like that, to just paint a bit better picture for everyone of what they're dealing with, trying to find places for the kids to be able to practice with the amount of kids that they have.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I would just say, high school sports is a pretty big for Estacada, our teams do very well. They most of them go to state and stuff like that. So getting facilities where the kids can learn sports early and be part be part of the community early. It helps in all aspects of life, having nice green spaces to go and play sports with your friends and do stuff like that. So
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, so, and then I don't think there was anything for traffic and public safety, no changes. or-
Unless the council has any direction if they had.
Go ahead, Paul. Yeah.
Just one question, maybe clarification. It seems like when we had talked about setting up the Traffic and Public Safety Committee, we talked about having them be a liaison between Chief Mendoza and us.
Mhm.
Does that ring a bell? I don't see it in what's listed on here. But that's something that I don't know that we've really got that going yet either. Is that something, and maybe we can set this aside as something for the council to discuss more. Am I remembering that correctly? Is that something that we want as well too?
I thought I remembered Jim mentioning that those meetings got started with Chief Mendoza.
Yeah, I don't think it was in the code, right? But it was something that we had all been talking that it would be nice. And I know that just recently, I know he sent out and Jim sent an email out today. And there have been those meetings between Chief Mendoza, and he's been trying to get more involved with that. But if that's something we want to discuss to put in the code, I mean, that's a conversation we can have. I don't know how accessible Chief Mendoza is going to be or how often that could happen.
I know that he tries to go to those meetings at least quarterly, but he also, I said, you don't have to come to city council anymore because you can go to traffic and public safety and they'll report back, but he still wants to connect with you. So he's still kind of doing both, but if you want to provide some more direction on what you'd really like to see, how that would, how it would all mesh together and not be as clunky. I kind of feel like I've made it clunky as to getting to here. We could add that to an agenda. It wouldn't be too much of a discussion, too long of a discussion, but it could.
I know for a fact he's presented his reports to the committee on the last two meetings
Yeah.
for sure. So they have updates. Jim's on that, and that's where that neighborhood watch thing was
Mhm.
generated from that conversation.
Were you just wanting to see it more kind of in writing?
Yeah,
In the-
something coming to. the
Okay.
council then.
Okay,
Okay, so have that.
Cool.
close to council. Okay, thank you.
Heidi.
While we were talking about possibly combining committees, I was wondering what the council felt about combining traffic and public safety with infrastructure. So like it would be infrastructure and public safety.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if anybody's thought about that.
With the members of the different, like Reliance Connect coming to the traffic and public, the infrequency of the infrastructure committee meetings. I don't oppose it. I'm just trying to think of how that looks with like members from PG and Reliance Connect coming to the traffic and public safety committees.
Why don't we discuss, why don't we just pause on that? But I think that what you're saying is there is overlap, I think, between
Yes.
infrastructure and traffic and public safety and planning and what was the other
Downtown
one?
Estacada
Yeah,
Commission, there's
There's
overlap.
the Economic Development Commission potentially. And so I think there is overlap, but why don't we, when we get that down to the infrastructure committee, discuss that and how it might, because I have some ideas too. But yeah, you're right. It's not a complete fit to like just say, hey, this could be absorbed into one committee, but we can talk about that.
Infrastructure is the next one.
I think we
We
have, oh, you know what? I'm looking at this one pager.
Oh,
Sorry. And I grouped them because the first three we're 2 minutes behind, so I'll stop talking so much. They didn't have any requested changes, so I put them together. And then there's minor requested changes for DEC and the library board. So if DEC and library board chairs. would
Come
mind
on
doing that.
down.
Yeah. And then let's delve into infrastructure committee a little bit after that and how it aligns.
Sounds good. Whoever wants to go first, you're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Hannah Smith. I'm the chair for the DEC. And we're just going over what we want to change. Is that kind of what's going on? So we were proposing to right now, when we promote things on social media and our newsletter, it's only in the vicinity of the downtown core. And we were looking to push that out to more broader areas closer to the library and, skate park and out of that, that downtown core vicinity. So we're able to post about things that the Arts Commission's doing and all these other commissions that we're not technically supposed to promote right now. So that's the gist.
So expanding your outreach to.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Great.
because right now it's pretty much downtown core of what we do. 4th of July, Oktoberfest, tree lighting. And anything else.
Anybody have any questions or anything for the Downtown Estacada Commission?
This is a big question, but
Mm.
with being a Main Street
Yeah.
program, are we gonna have more discussion on that at some other time, or is that something is that in alignment with the Main Street program? Because I remember there being some limitations before as to why we had to keep it centralized to the downtown area.
I'll give my 2 cents and then you want to wrap it up.
If there's
Yeah, you'll have probably better information, but I think just how I visualize it right now, I think the tough thing about the DEC is there's kind of 2 hierarchies that we're under. We have the Main Street, but then Downtown Estacada Commission. And the end goal is pretty similar. But it's a little funky. But
So we did reach out and talk to Sherry Stewart, who is the Main Street manager for the state, about whether there would be any conflict with the commission promoting events that are not outside the Main Street. And she said, no, as long as the majority of their work focuses within the Main Street 4-point approach, that they can do things that are outside that also.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
I could bring
Yes.
code back about that if the council is agreeable to it.
Go ahead, Michael.
Was some of the big successes over the last year For the downtown Estacada Commission,
Yeah.
some of the big things that happened for you guys in the last year.
We did our first Oktoberfest, which was a huge
Okay.
hit.
Yeah, it was nice.
We think it was. I was blown away. I just kept looking down the street and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people here. So that was really rad. Fourth of
Ran out of
July.
beer cheese too quick.
Oh.
That's a statement. It was good.
Yum. Yes, a lot of people saw a lot of food. Music was great. Good company, great stuff for kids. Got a lot of good feedback of just family friendly, something for everyone. So that was really cool.
great
4th of July is always a good hit. And then tree lighting. Tree lighting's the tree lighting and it's wonderful. But we have some more ideas for this year. So those are our main. We have some more ideas for more events, but we'll see what we can get done.
Thank you.
All right, library,
Library board, what would you like to know?
anything?
I saw the
new?
changes that are
Uh-huh.
proposed
Yeah,
and we're okay with all of that.
sounds
I-
good.
I talked to the board on Thursday night with those changes. The one request they had was in the current library code, number 5, about interviewing prospective appointees to the library board. They'd like to carry that down to the new recommended code updates. And there's another one, I can't remember which committee it is, but they also list that. It's kind of a given that that's how it functions, but it doesn't hurt to list it as a priority for them
Good.
too.
Could we just list that on all, for all
On all of them?
committees,
Okay.
except for planning, of course, right? We can't do that with planning commission.
They do that. with
Do they?
Yeah,
planning,
you
don't
could-
we?
I think you
Okay.
Yeah, we
can't
could
do it with
planning.
budget.
Budget, right, okay.
Right, budget, yeah. Yeah, if everybody has consensus around that, we could just make, okay.
I think it's been working really, really well, and we've landed some really good committee members. I can speak to the new committee members for DEC and Arts Commission. I think the new committee member for the DEC is going to be a firecracker and come in and help in areas where they've needed help for a long time. And I think the new committee member for the Arts Commission is going to come in and blow the doors off. She's way overqualified and she's worldly, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So I'm really looking forward to see what they do this year.
Can I just make a comment about the library board?
Yeah,
One, I want to thank Paul for being a liaison. We really appreciate having that connection with the city. And I just can't have an opportunity and not mention how Michelle and her staff are just phenomenal. You know, they've been short-staffed for a while, but they still manage to meet all the needs of the community, establish reading programs. We now have a bookmobile person, Roxanne. So you'll see the bookmobile going around town. It's just a fabulous group of people and also on the board. So thank you. If you haven't been there, if you're not on their mailing list to get their newsletter, you should be. You'd be amazed at how much is going on there and how much those people do. That's all.
and Michael.
Does the library board get updates on the use of the community room and how that's going? I know there was some concern over us having just a deposit for local residents to be able to use the room and clean up after themselves and receive that deposit back, but
Yeah,
are they
the-
generating any revenue off of
yeah,
that?
the city manages the Wade Creek. Is that the one you're talking about? The
Yeah,
Wade
I
Creek.
was
We
gonna-
haven't really,
It's not through the library.
yeah.
It was gonna be run through the library, but then because we didn't know what the expenses were gonna be and we didn't really have a revenue source, we ran it through parks this year. But we will be bringing back a report to the council because it has been seeing a lot of use.
A lot of
It's been
use.
fantastic.
It's a great facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it isn't necessarily related to the library at this point. At some
Mhm.
time, they might want to take it over, but
Yeah.
we'll report. on
Any
it.
idea of the makeup of people from in town and out of
think
the city
it's-
that have been using it?
I think it's all people in the Estacada area. I don't know if any outside. Mhm.
Oh, it's great.
I mean,
Yeah.
they've had birthday parties there. We had the Chamber of Commerce just had their all-member meeting there. Great facility. Needs a clock.
Needs a clock. I need that.
But
Absolutely.
We had, I had
yeah.
a meeting there once too, so yeah, that's a good, that's
It's
a good
really
spot,
good.
yeah.
It's,
Yeah, we had my daughter's
yeah.
birthday party there. It was great. Beautiful room.
thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate your work. Thank you. Okay, so next we have Infrastructure Committee and DEI Committee.
This
We have-
is where we're gonna run out of time.
Probably.
So, I think that talking about infrastructure briefly, seeing if we need to push that forward to discuss it more
Mhm.
would be, and then we'll move to DEI and the same thing, seeing where, what everybody's at and ideas, how we can come to consensus on a direction to move, and if it needs to go to a workshop, we can set that up. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, then we will start with infrastructure committee.
We don't actually put on any events or anything, but we try to keep abreast of any infrastructure issues and needs of the community and work with the city staff to keep those things ongoing and meeting the needs of the community. I know each of us individually, as we go through town, we keep our eyes open for any problems that we might notice that need attention, but other than that, we work mainly with city staff, just trying to keep infrastructure where it needs to be.
Any questions comments from Paul?
Karen, how often does the infrastructure committee meet now?
About quarterly.
Quarterly? And then, this might be a question for the city, but in terms of what the infrastructure committee delivers or interacts with versus what the traffic and public safety committee, where is the overlap? Do you see overlap? Where would the differences be?
I know you can
Yeah.
weigh in on this if you
Well,
want, but
I-
I'll. yeah, go ahead first.
Upcoming, we're going to be reviewing the water master plan. And so also they've looked at some of our issues related last summer to our water issues with not having enough capacity and had some suggestions of things that we could look into putting into the future into that. So it's larger than the Traffic and Public Safety Committee isn't looking at our water infrastructure, our wastewater infrastructure, but I think they do overlap on streets. So like recently, when the last infrastructure committee meeting, they recommended that we put a couple of planning, looking at researching, turning this street right here, Jeremy Lovelace one way. And so doing a plan to see if that's feasible. And that's probably something that you might see similar from the traffic and public safety, that kind of thing.
They do. They really are our eyes and ears to the community. There's 4 citizen members right now, and then there's Comcast has not joined the fund yet, but PGE and Reliance Connects do have staff that comes over, which that could overlap with just staff meeting with city staff because we do coordinate with them frequently. So they just on a staff basis, they wouldn't need the committee necessarily to coordinate because that happens. But then it overlaps with traffic and public safety on the street things, and it overlaps slightly with planning commission because they're reviewing engineering reports on, a development that's coming in. It potentially could overlap with I see some of at least the current members being good candidates for our Economic Development Commission because that'll also be looking at infrastructure, but in a way, they also stand on their own. We do just meet quarterly. We've met since Elena has taken the reins. She gets them scheduled, and we meet much more, do the quarterly meetings than seemed like previously it was a couple times a year that I'd get us together. And so there's overlap, but yet there's also, they weigh in on things as well. So
Recommendations on fee schedules too, right? There was discussion at the last meeting about
did
the
they have that?
sewer bills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
increases in sewer
right.
bills.
We did take that till then, yes. Sometimes it's hard because infrastructure moves slowly. And so we feel like, we don't really have anything to bring to you. We don't want to waste your time, coming in the middle of the day to meet. And so we want it to be productive, and it does move slowly, and it's a lot of city updates to them. But then there have been times, especially as we're growing right now, where we need that feedback. So I kind of go back and forth, like, could they be like, if we decommissioned infrastructure committee, could they apply at other committees and be able to still be kind of, that's their passion, is making sure our infrastructure is good. Could they fulfill that in other committees, or do we really need the infrastructure?
Jonathan.
I like what you're saying about the new committee, the economic development. To me, I think that would flow better than traffic and public safety personally. I think that traffic and public safety's got a pretty big bubble as it is. Especially with what they're taking on, and as we grow and as we develop and recognizing safety concerns and dealing with traffic, that's its own mess. But I do like the idea of putting it with, as I mean, it makes sense as we're developing infrastructure, they just kind of go hand in hand to make sure we support. And I guess a question would be, you guys meet quarterly, and how long are those meetings? Because you meet,
We're generally about an hour.
right? So to me, you meet once every 3 months for an hour. That's not bearing much fruit in my personal opinion. I mean, that's a pretty short conversation for having 90 days in between going on. So I would like to see that go towards something that's developing, like the new committee personally.
Is that something that we could maybe have like use as like an ad hoc committee as needed? You know, if we needed just specialty infrastructure, kind of have more of a focus on EDC, but if you have those specialty projects or whatever, where you're looking at just infrastructure, maybe if those people are on EDC, then they kind of take that as their baby, if you will. But I don't know, just a thought, maybe.
Could be.
I mean, we would want the liaisons from like Comcast and Reliance and stuff like that, PGE, especially to be involved in this EDC
In the
thing. So if we
EDC,
could,
right?
we could use them as a carryover, especially, to make sure they're involved.
Michael.
Karen, do you think I know you can't speak for everyone, would you be receptive to if that were an advisory committee that was called upon, the names on that list were called upon when there was something that the city needed you guys to take a look at and give some feedback on? Would you be receptive to that, or do you like the regular meetings quarterly?
Well, I have to say both, but I do like being caught up with things on a regular basis, but I would be willing to be and receptive to being on an advisory position too.
Okay.
Either way, I don't know about the rest of the committee. I don't know about how Denise would feel about it. But I think that most of us like to keep abreast of what's going on with the infrastructure as well as we can.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions? Peter? Yeah.
We might want to take a look at our code around franchises and some, I don't want to call them enforcement mechanisms, but get some more tools for the city to use. So if we have a situation like we had this fall with undergrounding, that we have some more tools at our disposal to make sure that everybody knows what they need to do, and neighborhoods know in advance what to expect, and so do the carriers before they go into those neighborhoods. Because I think kind of our understanding what was going to happen and what was articulated to us and then what happened were different. And so I think just some more code that we can kind of point to might be helpful. And that's something that of course we would want to run by the infrastructure committee, because and PG and everyone else, because.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
Okay, I know we need to move on to the
Yes.
DEI committee. On this, on infrastructure, should we move it to a discussion topic at a next meeting, or you feel like them carrying on in the direction that they're going is good? I'm not sure quite where to go with that.
I think it'd be something that we would want to discuss getting closer to the EDC coming on board. It's something we would want to definitely discuss, moving,
Okay.
when the Economic Development Committee moves forward, if combining the two, or, however we do that, I think that's something that we would
So
definitely
maybe
want to discuss.
at the next workshop, like at your next meeting, when we have that workshop, it could be we could dig a little deeper to see if there's overlap there.
The workshop with John.
Mhm.
Yep.
It'd be nice to get feedback from the other
Yes.
committee members on how
Mhm.
they feel about if it switched to an advisory committee. that
Or an
was
ad hoc, yeah,
ad hoc.
okay. Okay,
How's everybody else feel? Good? Good with that? Okay. All right, and then moving on to DEI committee.
Hi, everybody. Tammy Beatty.
Hi, Tammy.
from The DEI. Before we start talking about the DEI, I would like to ask you a question about the Economic Development Commission that y'all are thinking about putting together. The criteria of actually being a member on that committee, as stated in what I had read with the agenda that was sent over to me for this meeting, stated basically that you have to live in the city. And I will tell you that as a person that lives outside the city, we often are very connected to this city. We, get our groceries here, we support businesses and often feel left out. So if you could add that as a criteria for this committee, I think a lot more people would be able to be a part of it. Potentially as members down the
We're
road.
thinking more like zip code or school district.
Even school district would be fine, because that would include all of us.
I think that's something we could definitely
Yeah.
consider.
we could talk about that next week or at your next meeting with John. It doesn't really say you have to live in the city. It's kind of open-ended, but we can discuss that more because our intention was maybe somebody might want to be like somebody from Clackamas Workforce Partnership might want to be on the committee and they might not even live in the area. So we do want to be careful how we phrase it, but we don't want to be exclusive to necessarily only people that live in a certain area to exclude others.
I'd like to see the majority of that committee to be people that live within the city and then open up a certain number of seats for people that live within the school district and maybe a representative from the county or something like that. I think a business or somebody that may not live here, but has a business in town, open up the door for that as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And that's DEI right there. So I am the current chair and Erin Smith has been our chair for a very long time. So I am having her here with me because I'm not going to be able to answer all your questions as she probably would. So ask away. I'm not exactly sure what you all want to talk about, but we're here to answer your questions.
What items has the city tasked your committee with that you guys have had deliverables on in the last year?
The city has not tasked us with anything that I have been aware of as far as coming from the city council. Are you talking about?
Or city staff, either one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they had several meetings. I want to say it was 4 meetings regarding the TSP. So specifically looking at, like the first one was, how are we doing outreach for the TSP to make sure that they are reaching the whole community. Then they looked at some of the marketing materials. I can't remember what was each, but they had several meetings with the consultants regarding the TSP. They also reviewed the natural hazard mitigation plan twice, first in the beginning, when we're starting to develop the plan, to look at what was considered critical structure. So those are things where it's important for people to have this structure back up and running for the slice of life. So things like is the community center considered a critical structure? I mean, some of these we know are things like the fire station and the schools, but then what else is in the city that might be considered critical structures to make sure they're up and running? And then we came back at the most recent one and they reviewed the action items. They suggested adding an additional action item to make sure that all of our announcements and materials were printed in the most common languages for the city, because people had heard when we had the ice storm, people who English is not their first language, had some issues knowing how to call for emergency service for their water shut off. And so that's some of the things that we have tasked them with in this past year.
Housing needs analysis. Also, we did review and
Yes.
provide feedback on the housing needs analysis.
Right. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
And I think you guys got our goals right here on this sheet. Didn't you have this in your packet? So
Wasn't
this would
in-
be the specific
That was
goals.
that was their goals last year. I just.
Oh, okay.
updated.
Yeah,
You would have
gotcha.
got it.
I was
when
like,
your
I don't know.
goals-
And we're
If
working.
you wanted, I can print it out.
Okay.
We're working on all of our other, stuff for this next year. And we actually just added 3 more members to our committee.
Well,
We voted them.
They interviewed and.
Yes, so we're waiting for your approval. So but we're getting ready to install them as members.
Okay. All right, any other, Heidi?
I have a lot of things. Being a liaison, I'm very protective over the committee. I just want to highlight the economic benefits of the DEIC. We got sent information about how much money we can get just by having the DEIC. We should be using the tools of the government to get money. If taxation is theft, we should get some of that back by doing everything we can to get money for our city. We're a small town, so we need all the help that we can get. We got a letter of support that was signed by 89 members of our community, and it was just a word of mouth letter of support. And it was less than a week of signatures. So I'm sure that we could get a lot more if we spent more time on that. I feel like everything that DEIC does kind of hits every goal that we have set. Basically, what DEIC wants to do is do a lot of outreach and of inclusion. And that's what Community Heart and Soul was all about. And I know members of this council was interested in doing Community Heart and Soul if an outside entity wasn't involved. And I feel like this is a perfect project for DEI because we have a lot of division in this town. And I'd love to see everybody get included in things. So I'm sure I have other things, but I will
Okay, thanks. Anybody? Oh,
What do you
Jerry.
guys-
Sorry, I think Jerry was first.
So I know that one thing that when people see that DEI, they're like, no, they want to do this, they want to do that. Well, other cities have branded their DEI in other ways, like talking to Lisa, the mayor of Milwaukee, at our dinner the other night. Their DEI committee is called the Equity Steering Committee. And one name I heard floated around by our DEI was Better Together. I think that getting away from the stigmatism that DEI represents and rebranding, renaming will help, I think it would help with our committee, but with some of the stigma of our particular committee, which isn't out there trying to do some of the stuff they're being accused of, that's never been on their agenda, never been a topic of discussion in a meeting. So I think that, rebranding, I really do like the Better Together, or even just doing something as simple as Equity Steering Commission, like what the city of Milwaukee did. But I definitely see a need, and there's a lot of money out there that we don't just want for the city of Estacada, we need for the city of Estacada. We have, probably over $100 million in projects that are coming up, or that either are on the books or are going to be on the books, that we can get some of this funding. Having a DEI committee, having a committee, we won't be eligible for some of that funding if we don't have that committee. So there's a lot of money out there, and I don't want to see it left on the table.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan.
Yeah, hey, welcome back, Heidi. Thank you. Also, I hear what you guys are saying as far as financially benefiting the community, and you'll never hear me argue about that. That helps any of our citizens. But that being said, I don't think that you need a formal committee to do that. I think there's other ways that we can do that and still retain that that advisory type committee thing would still satisfy the needs that would be required for those grants, from my understanding and the research that I've done as well. One, and then also you spoke of unity, which is very, very important to me personally, yet that committee is very divisive in itself in members. It gets brought to us in our emails constantly. So, I mean, and this is not, I don't think that this needs to be, I think I agree with you, Melanie, that this should be a conversation later, but if we're going to use words like unity and things like that, then we need to raise the standards at which we operate and who we hold accountable for how they behave in these positions that represent our community. And then I'd also like to just voice that I think that on the division side of thing, I think that having things like this as a highlighted item feeds division. Why can't we just be a community that comes together like we always have? This is a community that knows its identity. They come together when things are hard. It's been tested by 2 different fires within the last decade, right? So to me, when I look at things like this specifically, I don't think we need special names or rebranding or things like that to make people feel welcome here. I think this community, if you don't feel welcome here, you need to take a look in the mirror, because this community is very open. They take care of each other. And I'm saying that as somebody that would fit in the categories of some of these, in multiple categories of what you guys represent. And I just think that I think we should take a better look at this, and maybe, I'm not saying wipe it off the map, but I want to see accountability. And I want to see it. I don't think that we should be having members of the community come and tell us what their interpretation of other people's feelings are, or their interpretations of other people's needs. I think we need to hear more of that from the people, personally.
Thank you.
Charity, can I respond?
Yes, you may respond.
So Jerry, to your rebranding conversation, yes, our committee voted, and we've been waiting to bring it to you all to change the name. And we are open to whatever name you want as a council to change it to. Jonathan, you yourself said that with the infrastructure committee only meeting once every 3 months, that there was not much fruit that came out of that. Okay, so changing our committee to an ad hoc or something to that sort of genre would not produce much fruit. And I think we are under your direction. So I think our committee would very much be open to more guidance. We have not had much guidance from the council in the past, previous to when you have been on the committee or on the council, sorry. So yeah, we're very open to that. We're not about division. If there has been division, then it's up to you guys to call us out, you know. But I will speak for my committee that, you know, I haven't seen it. I'm not on social media by choice. So I haven't seen, you know, the division that you're talking about, but if it's there, it should be called out. Because I'm all about bringing this community together, and I think every one of our members is.
Okay, Michael.
As head of the committee, you're okay with addressing if those concerns come to us and there's behaviors that aren't becoming of a member of your committee, you're okay with asking them to step down?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think there are some things that we can, we'll probably need to table, because it's gonna just, you know, looks like we're gonna need to do a deeper dive Melanie, you had something to add?
I was just gonna suggest that, 'cause I know we're running out of time.
Right.
To have a workshop, would you like to, or a workshop with the DEI members, or a discussion of the council first and then a workshop with DEI? I'm not sure. So I need some direction on that. And then we've been trying to not schedule anything for your second meeting in March because that's spring break week. And we thought it might be nice for you to have a spring break, but we could put this workshop at that second meeting in March, or we could push it to April, just depending on whether you would like a week off for spring break or want to keep trudging through. Paul.
I personally think it'd be good to have that meeting with the DEIC, especially if you're looking for direction, more direction from the council. That would give us that opportunity to really put our heads together. And I think it would also just give more time to hear from your committee as well too about the just the benefits and the things that the DEIC can provide.
And I think that's fair. It gives you guys an opportunity to share your thoughts, and, you know, we can all just kind of hash some things out through a workshop.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, and I think
We
it would.
schedule that in April then, or?
I think we owe it, I think we owe it to them to not table this for too long. I mean, they shouldn't be sitting in limbo. I mean, we owe you. I appreciate what you said about not having guidance. And I think on the accountability side and the ownership side, that we can own that and say that maybe we should be more involved and more directive towards what our expectations would be going forward. There's no disagreement you'll see from me on that. But I would say that this needs to happen sooner than later. This isn't a put it off thing, in my opinion.
I'm fine with that.
Charity, we have a member that would like to speak from our committee, and he's outgoing member of our committee. So can I have him say a couple words?
Yeah, we're running out of time, but yeah, for quickly.
I'll be super quick. So my name is Travis Garrison. I'm a member of the DI committee. I've been a member for coming up on a year, I believe. I'm on my way out because I've got other commitments. I just wanted to say very quickly that I got on the DEI committee because I'm very skeptical of it. I'm a police officer in a city in Multnomah County, and I've had some horrible experiences with it. It's been handled very, very poorly. And I wanted to be a part of it because I see it as, I'd rather have a seat at the table than be on the menu. And I looked at it very much as this boogeyman that it had been in my professional career. It was rolled out very poorly. Since being a member of the DEIC here in Estacada, I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't see that here. I see that there is value in the DEI. I don't think I see eye to eye with everything that DEI maybe stands for, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that we can get behind. None of us are going to agree on everything, right? From DEI to infrastructure to whatever, right? But I do think that there is value in it. I agree. I think it needs a different name if it is to be kept. The name is such a boogeyman among lots of people, myself included. I hate the name, right? Anything with equity in it, if I'm going to be honest, I have questions about it. I stand for equality. That's just me. But I do see value in it, especially as it relates to the financial opportunities that it opens us up to. So if we can kind of understand both sides of the coin and you know, do the necessary steps to have this committee benefit from the committee, and also, like you say, there are community members that have serious concerns about it, and I totally understand those concerns. As a person who works in a profession that is constantly bombarded by some of those concerns that I think we're talking about, I get it. I totally do. But again, I think that there is value to the city if we can keep it.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Real quick, I just want to thank Travis for the time that you spent on the DEI and the work that you put in. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
There's a chance we could do it at your next meeting if that's not too fast. I just need to time out the things that we have on the agenda already, so we don't have a mega meeting.
Okay.
And because we are having John come at 6. So can I get back to you on some options, and we'll check with the DEI committee also to see when they're available.
And can we
So-
make sure that everybody is present?
Sure.
To the best that I, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Hopefully everybody will get well. Yeah, and I think we're, yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, it looks like that's time. We'll wrap that up. I want to give everybody a good 3 minutes. We'll start a couple minutes late, give you a chance to grab a drink of water and use the bathroom.